Good morning. This is David Taylor Clausen. Welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 44. So Mindset Mondays, as a reminder, is a year-long program. Thank you. It's a year-long program of weekly live Facebook broadcasts. The goal is for folk who either already have a growth mindset, or those who'd like to develop one, to play with new ideas, new concepts, and try on new mindsets. It's a playground for the brain. All right, so if you'll take just a moment and click share right below this video, welcome your community, your folks, your people to join this conversation. The more voices we have, the more fun. And again, there's a private Facebook group supporting this at facebook.com/groups/Mindset Mondays. Join in. All right, so today, here's the playground today. Lots of people get credit for this line, this quote, but it actually comes from Neale Donald Walsch. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. This is one of those basics that's not so simple, right? I think I have a theme going on here. And so what I'll play with is, this is one of those where, comfort zones are so comfortable. And I mean, it seems like the obvious, right? It is so comfortable staying surrounded by that which is easy, which doesn't challenge, which is something you're familiar with. You know the map to the entire territory. It's comfortable. It's mind-numbingly comfortable. You could stay here forever. But here's the deal. Comfort zones are kind of strange. Something I learned as a coach, and something I think I'm guilty of. Sometimes being uncomfortable can be a comfort zone, right? So for me, always looking at my growth edge, always playing with just enough of the edge, getting new training, steeped in that conscious incompetence again. I love that place, and it's a comfort zone. Question for me is, am I really pushing my edge? Am I going this far when my growth edge is over here? Am I staying at a challenge point instead of a stretch point? So part of comfort zone and playing with it is, wow, what is your comfort zone? And I've got, because I get asked a lot in these conversations, well, how do I? Well, I figured out sort of the 6 steps that I do, and would totally love your feedback as to how that resonates for you. The question is, how do you break out of your comfort zone? How do you move to the end of your comfort zone to find the growth that's possible and the growth that's best for you, right? And I think the easiest place to start always is the idea of map your territory, right? You have to name the comfort zone. You have to be able to define it so that you can find the edges so that you can break out of that comfort zone. You have to name it before you can own it, and you have to own it in order to break out of it. There's a flow. Otherwise, you end up playing with edges, but never really stepping out. So the first piece is to map the territory, right? Next one is to identify the motivation, right? Attach meaning or value to breaking out of the comfort zone. Until the pain of the status quo outstrips the pain of the change or the fear of the change, nothing happens. It's only when the pain of the status quo is outstripped by what's on the other side. So what's important about breaking out of the comfort zone? What's important about what's available to you outside of the comfort zone? And then get really clear about not just the motivation for being out there, but design and define what that destination is. What are you moving towards? Yes, moving away from the pain of the status quo. motivation has really two flavors. And we've talked about this in a couple of the episodes, right? The energy of motivation has two flavors, right? One of them is irritation, like moving away from, oh my God, this sucks. No more of this. I want that, right? So you're moving away from the ick. Then there's also the inspiration. You're moving towards something, right? There's that you're being pulled towards something, that inspiration. So you have both flavors of motivation. Neither is better. They both work. They're both harnessable. So whether you're moving away from or moving towards, this is the piece where mapping the territory, we've defined and designed what's here, right? Identifying the motivation and designing the destination, you're tapping into the inspiration, what you're moving towards. Then declare it. When you say it out loud, it gets real. You know, when I share it with Elaine, with my wife, then it gets really real, right? So declaring it, say it out loud. That's how you dive into the next step, which is collect allies. If you could have done it alone, you would have. And even if you can do it alone, you can do it better when you have allies, those that are your support, your cheerleaders, your partners in crime, your playmates, your assistants, whatever. Collect your allies. And then the last step is celebrate the wins, the little ones, the big ones, and everything in between. Celebrate early, celebrate often. It's like voting in Chicago in the 60s, early and often. So map the territory. Name what your comfort zone is. Identify the motivation, what it is you're moving towards. Design that destination. Paint that picture. Declare it. Put it out there. Things get created twice. Once here, once in the world. And if you create it here and declare it, you dramatically increase the chances of being able to create it in the world. Collect your allies and celebrate the wins, because success begets success. Touched on before the idea of one of the first rules of change management. First step should be picking something that is easy to do and likely to make a difference. Again, it's something that's easy to do and likely to make a difference so that you have something to build upon. So trying to keep it really simple and a simple structure for identifying and breaking out of your comfort zone, because life happens. Life begins. I have to actually remember the quote. Life begins at the end of the comfort zone. Life begins at the end of the comfort zone. Growth happens. The richest, most amazing, rewarding growth happens outside of the comfort zone. In our comfort zone, we get this nice incremental growth. It may even be a little steeper. It's nice incremental growth. The exponential growth comes from breaking out of your comfort zone. The really juicy growth comes from stepping outside of your comfort zone. So play with this here. What is your comfort zone? What are your comfort zones? Where do you get comfortable and complacent? Right? Where do you go when you step away from the hard, the change, the growth, the next? Right? Are you like me, the perpetual student, where you continue to do the learning instead of do the growing? Now, yeah, to be fair, we joke about, in the coaching community, we joke a lot about the best kept secret in personal development is coach training. Yes. So to a certain extent, there is growing in the learning, yes. And the more you lean in, the more you know what your comfort zone is and what your growth edge is, and lean into that growth edge, the more that comes out of it. Yeah, I like the way you said that, Irene. The outside the comfort zone, there's life itself. That's where the aliveness and huge energy and creativity gets us in touch with our genius within, that gets us to that zone of genius. That's where the growth is. That's where the power is. So that's the playground. What is your comfort zone? Mayo Martin says he's returning to his comfort zone to recharge. Maybe it's just because that's great. Well, living in Scandinavia, it's kind of dark where he is very early and for much of the day. But from being in a place of no action or Netflixing or chillaxing, it's time for gathering the needed burst to come back into life. That's what I love about that, Martin, is that you're using and being very intentional about the comfort zone, diving into it for recharge. I have a couple introverts in my house, and I think that there's something to be said for knowing how you recharge and diving into your comfort zone. So though life may begin at the end of the comfort zone, there's a tremendous amount of battery recharge that's available in your comfort zone, right? Interesting. So Martin, maybe for me, part of that is the reason I keep diving back into another learning laboratory or certification program is because it's also a place to be extroverted. It's a place for me to be surrounded by people. I get a charge out of that as a flaming extrovert. That's a feeding place for me. So it may be why that's my comfort zone. Thanks, Martin. That was a really helpful piece for me, and hopefully for folks online as well. And by the way, I'll post these 6 different steps into the Facebook group, the Mindset Mondays Facebook group, so it's in there as well. I'm curious how that's landing with you, the idea of mapping the territory, naming where you are, tapping into that motivation by identifying the pull and designing what it looks like on the other side of the shift, and declaring your intention, collecting your allies, and celebrating your wins. I'm a huge fan of trying to make these things easy, right? Remember the question, what would it look like if it were easy? That's where the ease and flow comes in. So I think, facing the end of the year, facing the end of 2018, which has been a highly charged year for just about everybody. Facing the end of 2018, where have you been in a comfort zone? Where have you been consciously or unconsciously retreating to that comfort zone? And what's available to you outside of it? What does 19 hold for you? We have 21 days before 2019 kicks in. That's incredibly exciting. That's 3 weeks to play with, to design what life looks like outside your comfort zone, and to design what's available to you outside of your comfort zone. "2019 is an opportunity for a shift because 2020 is about clarity. I love the idea of 2020 vision because I only have it with aid. About moving towards stretching and pulling outside your comfort zone and growing like hell towards clarity in 2020. There's an opportunity to create your goals towards 2020. What will you be growing through and moving towards in 2019? Huge opportunity. I'll be playing with puns on 2020 for the next 13 or almost 13 months. And it is our opportunity to make 2019 a fertile plain of growth. So that's right, 2020 is a leap year. So we have 387 days until 2020. So we get an opportunity, we have an opportunity to plan for a year of clarity. So for now, for this next week and for the next 21 days until the end of 2018, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So to that end, what do you want to change in this next week? What do you want to be different? What do you want to think about, to feel about, to become aware of, to declare? And between now and next Monday, what mindset will you choose?